All right, all right, all right, all right. Welcome back, everybody. When last we saw the Trollskull Six, what happened? Uh, we did downtime,
Mm.
and you guys talked to Pact Marshal Traherne and the leaders of the Orders of Tyria. Uh, my COVID brain reversed the information. You were recruited to join a recruitment drive going to each of your hometowns and helping the Pact over a period of time while they outfit some new ships, repair some old ships, get a lot more bodies in, train people, arm them, prepare themselves. Uh, and Traherne indicated that due to the events immediately following the death of Zaitan and a somewhat personal stake, he would like to focus the Pact's attention on the jungle dragon next. Try to figure out what is going on out there. Since none of the other dragons are actively attacking civilization.
Makes sense.
You guys had some time to fill up your inventories, spend a little time around town, prepare yourselves for this long adventure. Most of the Pact, there are a great many Pact soldiers, cannot fit on airships, so it will have to be an overland march. They have tasked the Trollskull Six and Kaith, one of the Sylvari Firstborn, with scouting ahead once the army kind of reaches the off-road section when they leave the Lion Road and head west into a region of high, narrow canyons called the Silverwastes. You are to discover a safe passage for the army on foot through those maze-like canyons that will eventually lead the Pact to the Maguma jungle. Kaith will accompany you, as she has been there before. Uh, she told you a little bit about her last trip there. She had a brief moment with Kitri to kind of have a heart-to-heart about the journey ahead. And I believe that is where we left off. The day dawns, the great day. Tension in the air, the creak of wagon wheels, the stomp of heavily armed and armored soldiers, the groan of wood and rigging, and the furling of sails as airships take to the air over the city. Is there any unfinished business in Lion's Arch before we depart?
Petrie would like to finish bedazzling that dog bowl for Biscuit.
Definitely doable.
Definitely try to do her best gluing rhinestones on it. Maybe ask Brina for some help.
Yeah. Late the evening before, just kind of stay up as the sun's setting and do a little arts and crafts. Biscuit is appreciative. More so because there's food in the bowl than the aesthetic aspect of it, but Fallon finds it very charming.
I'm just holding out hope to get my Snargle book, but
Oh, we're gonna find them.
around.
Yes, that was another thing that happened last episode. Brina did manage to find one edition, a rare manuscript, unpublished,
Oh yes.
whose main character was her namesake.
Yes. I have a new life mission, which is to hang out with Mr. Snargle. Or at least write him a letter.
A famous reclusive char author.
We'll see. We'll see.
Prolific author of interspecies erotica.
I just
we'll say intercultural.
That doesn't get our channel banned.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize you were here.
Oh, I've been here for a long time.
Oh my god. You've been watching us like a creep?
What do you think all the eyes are for? No, I have macaroni to eat.
That's fair. That's fair.
True.
All right. Well, if there is no more business,
No business on this day.
one pertinent question to put to the Trollskull Six. You are going to be traveling several days on foot from Lion's Arch through the Kessex Hills, across the Crichton Lowlands, skirting the edge of the Caledon Forest before journeying up into steep, rocky desert scrubland. Do you want to walk, or would you like to requisition some horses
Ooh.
from the Pact? You can be afforded mounts should you wish to do so, who can also carry gear should you need them to.
Should we, is this something from like player perspective that we need to like budget food for? Or is that kind of hand wavy?
No,
And, like,
you would need to have food for them.
Food for them and for us, I'm assuming. Well, I mean, Galatar's got food for us.
We got the tower.
We got the tower.
Also, there's
Okay.
nothing in my spell that says if I know like what something eats, I can't create food for livestock as well, as long as it's within a 30-foot square.
Skeletor's
Couldn't you
supposed to
bring
be-
the horses into
Bring the horses into the house.
Well, it's like a 30-foot by 30-foot square or whatever. So I mean, like it's big enough you
They
could.
have a third floor stable in the tower.
Have to have the horses ride the elevator.
Skeletor's
Yeah, there's
saloon.
also nothing that says the horses can't enter the mansion either. So
I will say that if you choose to take horses with you, the Pact will provide them, and they will provide enough supplies for, we'll say, 5, 3, 4, 5. We'll say for 7 days, for 1 week for each horse, and it'll just like the horse can carry that.
I request one horse just entirely for water skins.
Well, you currently
got
have
the bag of holding. We've got like a dozen.
weightless bunch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Forget the bag of holding. We need a horse.
So is horses something that would improve our speed, I'm assuming?
Not really.
Okay, it's just okay.
Oh, it wouldn't?
Not really. No.
If it doesn't improve our speed, then I would say let's just forego the horses.
yeah, I feel like we're just gonna send them to death.
On one hand, a
I could use some new
70
glue.
God damn it.
Let's not do that to Boxer yet, Jimmy.
I shouldn't be responsible for the life of other things. That seems reckless.
Don't you have healing magic?
Barely responsible for myself.
Yeah, I don't know
made a
if
clone.
I don't know if it works on horses, so never tried.
Not sure, because on one hand, love the aesthetic of being a cowboy, but on the other hand, is there a horse big enough that can handle, the junk?
We've done horses before, haven't we?
You
Give
just want
me-
to summon a horse brainer. Like I can make you a horse right now that you could ride on without having to bring along extra horses.
Also, I can fucking turn into a horse. Who are we kidding?
I think
Maybe
Maybe we should bring Maybe we should bring some horses.
I mean, we all could just turn into horses.
We
Okay.
could all turn into horses.
I tell you what,
I could
Brina.
also do that.
Why
I could
don't we
turn us
be
all
the
into
horses? And we can carry packed people.
So
I don't
Brina,
know,
I
is
actually
my strength as a horse still very weak?
I don't think
I
that's how
have
the
to
spell
check.
works.
Hold on, I have to look.
Brina, if you will care for my horse, because I don't want to. I
Just,
will.
I don't care.
We can bring a horse, and I'll ride one. And you can bring your own horse, and you can ride it. Does that sound agreeable?
it does look pretty cool. I am going through a bit of cowboy phase.
You could wear your hat that you got in. You could wear your hats.
Oh, those are all
Draft horses have a strength of +4.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
You good?
They can carry quite a bit.
They don't got much else, but
Well, I mean, if you decide you want to take horses, I can, like, if I need to ride a horse, I can always summon one, but otherwise I can just walk if we're not trying to, like,
Let's just walk.
sprint there.
I still say we should seem like horses.
I mean, we
I
could.
can also actually turn us all into horses or birds for that matter.
Yeah.
Really want to be
Honest
a
to God,
horse?
Turn us
I
all into
just-
something like a bird.
Well, that no. Okay, now that's actually sounds more reasonable.
Yeah.
Need to find it.
I don't want to be a horse. I wouldn't mind like riding side saddle on a horse through the sunset.
Side
Do you know how to ride side saddle?
That's not that.
Yeah.
hard. You just
Okay.
said
Obviously.
Just wanted to make sure.
three with
I've
his
never
ankles
actually seen
crossed.
you interact much with a horse before, so I wasn't sure.
Oh, I don't enjoy their
Okay.
company. No, but
Okay.
I do enjoy the aesthetic. So
Y'all, I can transform us into beasts for up to 24 hours.
Can you really?
Yeah, animal shapes is an 8th level spell, but there's also no like required components.
Huh.
If
So
we
it's
want to turn
only-
back, can we, or do you just get to keep us as horses or whatever else is
Your
long?
magic turns others into beasts. Choose any number of willing creatures that you can see within range. You transform each target into the form of a large beast or smaller with a challenge rating of 4 or lower. On subsequent turns, you can use your action to transform affected creatures into new forms. So honestly, I could change us depending on. Yeah,
These are my little pets.
I
It
totally
would
forgot that was a thing. I
also-
was thinking
it would-
seeming.
it's essentially like wild shape, but you can cast it on other people because you guys would have the hit points of the animals, and you would drop out of your animal form when you hit, or if you hit 0 hit points, or
mm,
when the spell ends, which it's concentration. But if we're just traveling, it can go up to 24 hours. All I'm
yeah,
saying.
go into big birds and fly.
Pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, we could save a lot of time too on the trek if we needed to.
I mean, we can talk to.
It is also, I should say, it says the creature is limited in the actions it can perform by the nature of its new form, and it can't speak or cast spells.
Hmm.
That would be fine.
Yeah, she can turn you guys all into saber-toothed tigers.
Giant
That was
eagle.
an
I
aesthetic.
can turn us all into a higher challenge rating than what I can wild shape into by myself.
Yeah, 8th level spells.
It's pretty impressive.
I will say that spell seems a little broken, but I'm not going to complain.
Well, we got two people here with wish, so we're gonna talk
Yeah,
about broken
I mean,
spells here.
let's,
The
Being a
You can
little
cast animal
slow.
shapes. I can
Change-
cast animal shapes.
I can cast. We can all cast animal shapes.
I
back
used,
to back.
I used a wish spell earlier in the campaign.
You did.
well, you didn't
That's
have it in
true.
your on speed dial though.
Yeah.
No, I just had old Sheila.
And you saved Brina,
You
right?
saved her life.
Isn't that what
Yep.
happened?
I kept her from
Reversed
being
her age.
super
Yeah,
old.
from her old age.
Saved her from hip
Bottoms.
replacement.
Saved her from the nursing home.
Oof.
Kept her from being a cougar.
Ugh.
Ugh, that would.
My time and enjoy my milfood.
Oh, and now you can turn her back into a cougar whenever you want to. We've come full circle.
Literal.
It's over
That's
magic.
great.
I think from the packed horses, Brina was interested in it for aesthetic purposes, but she realizes that she doesn't have a cowboy hat. And if it's not going to affect travel pace that much, then perhaps walking is fine.
Horses mechanically, I think, are more useful at low levels to carry loot
Mm.
away from dungeons.
Yeah,
This is
Hmm.
true.
not a problem for us.
Nope.
Very well.
Yeah, I mean, oh, yes, actually, because you did mention it, and I do want to say this. I will put in the lifeboat demiplane. I'm gonna put my hammock, my sleeping bag, and a tent. Because
Hmm,
you know we can just leave a bunch of shit in there.
that's smart.
Galatar, you put
Grimace is currently in my
your own
demi-
demiplane. And is it sequestered?
He's sequestered, yeah. So he's like invisible and protected from any sort of scrying or other magics.
And what's the trigger that makes him visible and animate again?
Just when I call for his name.
Cool.
He awakens at my command, I guess would be like the way to word it.
So Alexa has a simulacrum of herself with her.
Yes.
Is there anything else coming with the group? Pets or companions or golems or anything?
I like how we're so anti-pet, and now it's like, yeah, my pet robot.
Yeah,
I
whatever
think
happened to
our like
Rena's pet
Kala.
robot?
Yeah, Brina, what
where
did
is your
happen
pet
to your
robot,
pet
Brina?
robot?
Mala?
I've never seen it. I haven't seen him in like
Mala
months.
works in the bar. He carries little trays with drinks around.
Oh, so just
Oh.
like servitude.
Oh,
Cool.
you want to
I'm
talk?
here
You
for
want
it.
him working for no wage whatsoever? No,
That's
they
a good
I
point.
didn't say it was a bad thing. You've got my vote.
he is a very diligent worker. He gets along well with the ghost, and Tim likes him. So
And free labor, I'm here for it. Yeah.
we can debate the ethics of it another time.
Sounds ethical to me. Nothing to debate.
Bertie, I don't like your endorsements. He just makes happy beeps. I think everything's fine.
I think he only makes one kind of beep, which is
Yeah, I've
weird.
never
It's like
heard of
programmed
like
to be happy.
change tone.
He's got the happy beep and he's got the beep. Which is
Makes me think of
disturbing.
claptrap.
His batteries are just dying.
it's the smoke detector.
He's just been beeping out of need.
Happy. He's a happy boy.
Right. Well,
My son is staying home.
Oh, I do want to say, like, every day that we're traveling at the beginning of the day, just so I don't have to constantly interrupt on new days and say it. But at the beginning of every day that we start out, I do want to take a minute to cast Mage Armor on myself and then meditate and cast Foresight on myself, just so that like the 8 hours that we're spending traveling, I'm just kind of already prepared in case anything were to happen. So like every day when we set out on the actual travel.
cast it and then take a short rest.
No. Just because I don't need to take a short rest. It just takes a minute to cast for Foresight.
Okay.
And Mage Armor. I just wanted to I want to have them on me whenever we're traveling. So I didn't want to have to interrupt kind of day to day and say that.
Okay. I'll try to remember that. So, you all set out from Lion's Arch at the head of a grand procession. Marshal Traherne leads the column on horseback, while General Soulkeeper, Lightbringer Velasquez, and Steward Gix each have smaller columns within the column of their own soldiers from each of their individual orders. Each grouping is replete with wagons and pack animals toting ample supplies for a long campaign. Banners on high pikes, long pennants flowing in the wind. There are, you notice, few Lion Guard joining the ranks of this march. Most of their number, you learn, will be remaining behind to safeguard Lion's Arch, having paid the highest price in fallen soldiers during the siege of Ara. For the first day of travel, it's all pomp and circumstance. Well after leaving the city by the sea, folk from nearby homesteads and villages line the roads at odd intervals and kind of cheer you guys on as everybody walks by. The rumble of Char siege engines broadcasting the arrival of your column well in advance of your actual appearance. As evening nears on the first day, you find a suitable stopping point, a wide, dry, flat, treeless area at the fringe of Blackroot Bog along the Lion Road. And that night, around the watchfires, Bertie especially You notice a few ambitious would-be troubadours singing about the Trollskull Six's brush with the Blackroot bandits. What seems like a lifetime ago in this swamp, where you fought a displacer beast that pounced on the last of the bandits. It seems so long ago, the humble beginnings of the great heroes.
Wow.
The next day and the next pass much the same. Easy walking through rolling green hills and farmlands until eventually you reach First Haven, the Lion Guard outpost, the first one constructed outside of Lion's Arch, where the column is welcomed and supplies are topped off from the waiting Lion Guard. As you move west from here, the land begins to slope gently up. As you go into the Kessex Hills. A day or so goes by and you find yourself passing a southern fork from the Lion Road that leads southward into the fjord where Garenhof lies. Meanwhile, as you continue on the Lion Road, you climb ever higher into its thickly forested peaks. The Kessex Hills are not like Rocky Mountains, they're more like Appalachian. They don't go above the tree line. But they are, some of them very steep and clustered thickly together. 3 days after leaving First Haven, you find yourselves once again descending into a lower lying valley with a wide lake stretching out close to the horizon. By nightfall, you find rest in Kessex Haven, another outpost along this well-policed trade route through the southern reaches of Kryta. After an extra day at Kessex Haven for rest for the weary foot soldiers, you set out once again and make your way north around the Great Lake, eventually turning once again westward and moving into the surrounding hills along the broad Lion Road. From there, it is yet another few more days before you find the road forks north toward Fort Salma, the furthest frontier outpost of the Seraph soldiers from Divinity's Reach, and south, heading down through the lower country into the Caledon Forest toward the Grove and eventually Ratasum. It is at this junction that the Pact army will break from the Lion Road and begin the slow climb westward into the high desert region of the Silverwastes. There is a long, quiet night at camp. Not so much nervous, but people understanding that here the real journey begins. The mood is a little subdued. As the next day dawns, you are given your task once again by Marshal Traherne, who goes over the particulars at a pre-dawn meeting, and you are sent out
Random question.
in
Is
advance of the Pact.
Kaith here?
Kaith is with you, yes.
Okay. Just want to know, because I didn't know she's secretive and whatnot. I didn't know if she was with us already.
She is. She's not. She hasn't stayed with you, but she has been in the column
Okay.
over the last few days. You kind of watch as you travel during the day. She sort of falls back and mingles with the Pact members. She doesn't really seem to engage with them socially, but she moves in and out of your sight effortlessly, sometimes disappearing into the nearby trees, joining you ahead several miles down the road, or sometimes just vanishing altogether only to appear around a campfire late at night. Always secretive and keeping her movements to herself.
Thank you.
This morning you set out in advance of the Pact, and Kaith travels with you. just before you leave, Marshal Traherne asks one final time if there's anything you need before you begin. And if there's nothing, he just says, "Very well. I wish you well, commanders. I've given Keith the magic chalks to mark safe passage for us. We will follow as closely as we can, but the way is hard, and we are many, and greatly burdened." And he just gives you a very serious look and kind of nods his head, turns back into his tent. Keith kind of stretches, says, "Well, I suppose we best be on our way."
So are we like special forces?
We're commanders.
Yeah. We are commanders. All right. Let's rock.
Keith sets out kind of ahead of you. You
She knows where she's going, right?
Brina
sets
just
out
shrugs.
confidently ahead of you.
Sure. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, she's walking with confidence, so she's
Not
got to know, right?
exactly. No,
I do.
we're supposed to find the way.
Well, you enjoy doing that,
You
Kala.
just follow me.
I'm
yeah.
gonna, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's like
I found the way and it's behind Kala.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh shit, look at that. It's right here.
I am.
Look, there's
Jesus.
tracks and everything.
Yeah.
It does not take long for you to outpace the very sluggish army behind you, who at this point is kind of just now like rolling out of bed and turning themselves out. And before long, you find yourselves with Kaith in the contemplative silence of the wilderness. The voices of soldiers, the clank of their armor, the groaning of the wagons and the supply carts, even the creaking of the airship beams and the rigging all fades into the background, leaving nothing but wind in the grass and your own labored breathing. Does anyone have any thoughts or desires to express as to how you're moving or what you're doing as you travel or anything like that? Any flavor you'd care to add?
I guess just making note of anywhere where it would be especially difficult for a giant horde of forces to move through. I don't
Absolutely.
know, any workarounds and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I was gonna, as we were traveling, try to just kind of make a map of the land when we have time to make breaks with my cartography tools, and then try and like just at night correspond it with the letters from old Shining Blade members to keep track and just for like historical documentation and for other purposes.
So, like about every 2 hours or so, Kaith calls a halt to let you guys catch your breath. You notice that she, like as soon as she stepped off the trodden path into the wild, it was like she changed. Before your very eyes, she became a different version of Kaith. All of a sudden, like you're used to seeing her nimble and graceful and kind of quiet. There is a change to her bearing and her gait. She is quite obviously well at home in this wilderness. But more than that, it's hard to describe, but if anything, it reminds you of watching like a roaming predator. You know, like you've in your travels, you've seen things like wolves and mountain lions, bears, and things that hunt other prey animals as they amble through their territory with a sort of effortlessness. And that is the sense that you get from Kaith, that she has kind of settled into her natural role in this wild food chain, and it is at the tippy top.
I will say, Birdie, as we're kind of moving, once we've like got pretty far away from the the rest of the group, like the army we were traveling with. Given that I assume he'll be like towards the back, just kind of following Kala and Kaith, but he'll like, with his decent perception, he'll kind of keep an eye on our backside in terms of like, are we at all being followed by something?
Okay.
Is it hot?
It's warm. Like it is about midsummer. The recruitment drive took several weeks, so it's kind of advanced into the middle of summer, early what we would call summer. So yeah, like early to mid June ish, and you are moving into a very dry region. So without the abundance of water and tree shade around you, yeah, it becomes quite warm.
I'd say Birdie, like, maybe too often, like, takes a little dab of like of water from the water skin on an ascot and like has it around the back of his neck. Yeah. Dabbing his forehead off.
Say, I think Brina might still have a ring that lets you like stay cold or something.
I have a ring of frost.
Lets you like lower the temperature.
Somewhere in there. I have to attune to it. Sorry, gang.
Well, attunement slot well used.
Just for cooling in the desert.
It's a cool 65 here in Brina land.
Sure. Yeah. No. I'm wearing my winged boots. I'll fly into the air where the breeze is every time I get a little bit too warm. Fuck you guys.
And you put those shoes to good use. As you move west, the land very steadily rises, and the vegetation quickly gives way to tall, harsh grasses and hardy scrubs, very few trees, and precious little shade. Ahead of you, you can see the high red-colored crags of a great mountain range, kind of interspersed with these wide, flat-topped mesas that have skirted slopes of tumbled stone and debris. And this range just rises in front of you like an impenetrable wall, as far north and south as you can see. As the sun begins to set the first day, you find a shallow basin that's kind of hedged 3/4 of the way around with these prickly, thick, needle-like bushes that helps kind of block this ever-present wind that rolls over these regions. And you can just make out behind you, looking down slope, the distant twinkle of Pact campfires. The weather, even at night, is warm, and the stars are shining brilliantly overhead. Is there anything anyone would like to do at camp this evening?
I think you see Birdie, and he's like probably sitting next to Brina at campfire, and he's got like his kind of inks out, and he's like painting this card it's like the back of one of his business cards in a very like very fancy way. He's got like some nice colors, and like closely looking at the card, it says Brina punch card on the back. Just setting one up as I browse through my things here.
You're taking that super literally.
Oh yeah, I'm making a card for it. Yeah.
Oh well.
Best deal I ever made is business. I'm a businessman. Boots for a card.
All right, have fun with your arts and crafts party.
Yeah.
I just asked if Birdie's got any good campfire tunes on his loot.
Kate, you got anything good in that flask of yours?
She, sitting just at the edge of the firelight, and of course keeping very quiet and much to herself, looks up, almost startled to hear her name. Kind of gives you the look around like she's trying to assess what's going on.
Bertie leans in and goes, "Did you bring enough to share with the class?"
She like cocks her head and kind of squints at you. She pulls her flask out. You mean my flask?
So she had pulled that out when we were in Lion's Arch, and I have a note to myself: Is Cave an alcoholic? Question mark, which I'm trying to get to the bottom of. So yeah, I saw you take a little swingaroo the other day. Maybe
I always carry this with me.
I bet. Yeah.
I think
you ha-
she's
is there-
afraid of being poisoned.
Is it anything
Partly,
good?
yes. Always drink from your own container.
Is there anything good in there? Or, don't tell me it's water.
Of course. It's perfectly nourishing here. She like takes like a little like a tin camp cup and like pours you a little bit of it. Holds it out.
Like, is it? It's not water. What is it?
It kind of smells like water.
Oh God! Is it?
There's like a little bit of something else, but
Okay,
like
I'll
a-
I'll shoot it.
yeah, you did take like a quick sip. It's not much to it, but
No, he's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
shot. Like he's
swish it
assuming
around
it's
your mouth for a
alcohol.
second, and you swallow. There's no alcohol at all,
Oh, that's
but
disgusting.
it's got like a hint of lemon and a bit just the faintest touch of sugar, and also like you pat your tongue against the back of your teeth, take a breath in, like, is that salt? Just like a pinch of salt?
In case there's no alcohol in that at all.
Well, of course not. Alcohol would dehydrate you. It's counterproductive.
I fucking love it.
Are you trying to kill me?
This is a nourishing water. The way we make it at home in the grove.
What do you call it?
Silvariade.
Nourishing.
Special drink?
Yeah.
It's just the special drink.
No. No, it's not gonna do. Birdie like turns around and pulls like a bottle of wine out from his pack. It's not a huge pack, but he's got a couple of things in there. I'm
What
like,
all
no,
do you have in there? How much is
just this and some ascots and the extra hoses for my flamethrower.
Regret that in the morning.
Hey, I know. It's not about that.
Screws her flask lid back on and matter-of-factly puts it back in her hip holster.
It's a campfire. Yeah, but Birdie will tell like he's probably got like a spooky story or something out in the jungle. He probably warps it into some like old witch who had like this horrible brew that she kept in her in her house.
Tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
In a special silver flask.
And yeah, and it was like, and the like the destruction of this witch that these heroes kind of face. It's like, and they douse her in alcohol and light her on fire, kind of thing. It's a bit tongue in cheek, yeah.
I suppose probably while this is going on, Alexa's sitting there in the heat and the hot. Whew. I really wish I could control weather right now.
That
And
would
I'm-
indeed be a trick.
Gonna cast Wish and control some weather.
my God.
And what do you make it do?
I'd like to cool it off. I won't do anything else. It's fucking hot.
Okay. Yeah, it's so like it's warm. The like the night breeze is kind of balmy and warm, and all of a sudden it gets cool. As the wind kind of rustles over the fire, you see Kate's long, kind of white, plaited hair blow and buffet in the breeze a bit. She starts sniffing the scent on the wind and looks around. She looks at you, Alexa.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot my words have a little bit more power nowadays.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well done. I'll take first watch. And she stands up and like just walks very softly into the darkness.
I'll lean over to Brina. I don't think Keith likes us very much.
I can't imagine why.
I don't know. I really thought she'd have alcohol in there.
Why do you carry a flask around if not to put the
Why
alcohol
would you
in?
have a flask? Like there's
Water bottle?
what's the point? You
Skin.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mhm.
Strange.
Can I play your lute?
Do you want no.
Yeah.
But you can have some wine if you want.
Yeah, I'll take some.
I here you can have
Pizza.
you can hear my you can mess with my harmonica. Oh no, actually I don't want you touching that either. Actually I think it's probably best if you don't have an instrument.
Just clap.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Alrighty.
sure. Yeah.
Love that song. Brina goes to bed, but she will take a watch if
I was
needed.
gonna say, does anyone else take watch?
Oh, yeah, if we're doing
Yeah.
that, I'll help out.
Alright, between the three of you and Keith, that's plenty enough to cover the watches. Need to update some notes. Alright. Nothing untoward happens this evening. I will say that, Keytree, you have a fitful night. No new dreams or visions, but you kind of relive flashes from all of your previous visions. Dawn brings a red sunrise. As you begin your final ascent into these highlands, the high grass rapidly thins, revealing barren, sandy earth, only occasionally marked with thick, gnarled shrubs with sharp, poking bristles. There are large boulders and tumbled blades of stone just jutting from the ground as steep cliff walls begin to kind of close in all around you. It quickly becomes a series of difficult choices, with some paths leading to deep gullies, collapsed stone arches, or the odd box canyon dead end you have to traverse to discover that and make your way back out. As you enter, Keith points out that this is a wide region and it will likely take several days to cross, even if you know where you're going. And now I think
Dun dun dun.
we will try something a little different tonight.
Oh?
I was doing some research on skill challenges, and the way we've been doing them is the way I just kind of understood they could work in 5e, but I actually found one from 4th edition that's wildly different than the way I've been doing them.
Oh, no, I'm nervous.
So we're going to try it this way first. So
Down for anything.
in this skill challenge, we are going to have 6 scenes. Each scene overall we will tally the total number of you who pass a check, total number of you who fail. If at least 3 of you pass, then it is considered a pass for that scene. We only need 3 no, not 3 successes. So if you fail 3 scenes, then you fail the skill challenge. Success will indicate that you find your way quickly and safely through the Silverwastes. Failure means you do not, and the consequences will become clear later.
Be tired.
Okay.
This sounds intriguing.
So the way this is going to work is I will read you a little bit of text to kind of set the scene, and I'll give you a couple of skill options that you can use to try to make it through the obstacle or whatever it is. There is wiggle room, but not much, because each of the 6 scenes is going to cover different skills. If you have a spell or an ability that can just sort of bypass the whole thing altogether, we can talk about that, bring that up, let me know, and we can potentially just either give you advantage on a check or perhaps just count it as a success depending on the circumstance. And what we'll do is there's not like a set DC for the checks. What we're going to do is you'll roll for them, and there are degrees of success. If you roll less than a 5, it is failure. Everything else is a degree of success, and based on the degree of success, you will make a subsequent check, Constitution saving throw versus a point of exhaustion. So the goal of this skill challenge is to avoid ending your 3 days with exhaustion levels.
Oh, I
As you-
love it.
As you trek through this
Fascinating.
desert
Ooh.
canyon wilderness.
Okay.
I
Means
love
like-
everything about that.
So it'll all come together
Yeah.
here. So
So do we like for each scene we will all do a roll of some kind, or okay, we
Yes,
don't just
yeah.
stop after 3
everyone's
of them. Get a
right.
success.
Yeah. We're going to do all 6 scenes. So even if you fail the first 3 outright, we're still going to do the rest.
So like even if we as a group succeed on a scene, like individuals could still get exhaustion from the scene, or no?
Potentially. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, some of you might
That's
have
a
lots of
fun little
exhaustion.
dynamic.
Dude,
Yeah.
if someone fucking dies from exhaustion.
No.
I don't think that's
Never.
possible.
If you get 6 degrees of exhaustion, you die, right? So we're fine.
Yeah.
Probably.
And so it's
You
going
have to fail so
well,
hard.
You have to quadruple fail.
Wait, does greater restoration get rid of exhaustion level?
It does.
Well, just 1, I think. But
Yeah.
Just one.
But
Beautiful
also, like,
heroes
as
that
we
die
go through
because they're
this,
too tired.
are these all in the same day, or are these like each scene is kind of on its own day? So, like, are we recovering a
it-
level of exhaustion
there-
within the experience?
There will be long rests between some.
Okay.
So it's not deadly. The goal is that
I guess
the
I forgot
end
about
of the
the
thing you
resting
don't
part.
have like a ton of exhaustion.
Like we could end up with 2 or 3
And
points.
yes,
and
greater restoration.
I mean, we could
reduces
get, yeah,
exhaustion
like
by
even
1.
1's kind of debilitating.
It can be.
It can be.
If you end up fighting an elder dragon by accident, it would be.
So, day 1.
What the?
The morning is hot and dry as you scrabble your way up the steep, shifting slopes of loose rock and debris at the foot of the high sandstone mesas that tower overhead.
Birdie's dehydrated, just for the record.
He did Pilates in the morning. He's ready to go.
And Birdie kind of lagging behind a little bit, but
Oh.
keeping up a wary eye to cover your rear. Without warning, you hear a crack from high above, followed by a rumbling tremor in the ground at your feet that very rapidly grows more intense and loud. It is a rock slide. Coming down the steep slope behind you as you
Shit
descend into a narrow
balls.
gully. So,
Oh,
each of you can either roll
Oh, yikes.
acrobatics to dodge the tumbling stones, or athletics to sprint toward cover in time.
Can I use a spell?
Right.
What
Same.
spell?
Wall of Force?
Oh.
Oh.
I want to try and divert this rock slide around us so that we would be.
Wow.
Okay, I like that spell a lot better than mine.
Okay. Yeah.
If that would be, if I would
Uh,
have time to, take
I
an
would
action.
say make an Arcana check instead.
Okay. Cool.
See your knowledge of the spell.
Yeah, that's hella good. What are we up to?
That's-
17 for Arcana? That's a 30 overall.
So I will say that counts as a success for you.
Okay.
And I will say the rest of you have advantage on your rolls because you are able to hide behind the wall of force if you can get there in time. So acrobatics or athletics, unless you have something else you'd
You
like
know
to
what's up, baby.
make a case for.
You know what's up, baby.
I mean, I'll I'll make a case for So let me ask: is it one scene a day, or is it's multiple? This is multiple scenes today. Oh yeah, I'll roll the athletics then. I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, okay. I know if it's the first day, can I Misty Step to the Wall of Force? Can I and A2, for that matter, Misty Step to the Wall of
Oh, I
Force?
forgot that bitch was here.
But yeah, you can count that as a success for yourselves.
Thank you.
Okay.
Plus 12 and still got an 18. Ooh.
So key tree. Just to either make an acrobatics or athletics.
Sorry, I'm
Okay.
grading.
All right.
That's a dirty 20.
Fantastic. Brina and Birdie,
Oh, porque?
you managed to get behind the wall of force without taking any damage. You don't get hit by the rocks. The effort of suddenly kicking it into gear and hauling ass to get behind that cover. Brina, did you roll with advantage?
No. Did I need it?
Yep,
Good
because the
advantage.
wall of force gave you
Oh,
advantage.
no shit. So sorry. Didn't realize I
Okay.
did.
29.
Alright, that's a lot better.
So Birdie, because you're lagging a little bit behind, you had a little too much to drink. You managed to get behind the wall of force and take no damage.
It's like, ooh, cramp, cramp, cramp.
I need you to make a con save versus 1 point of exhaustion, but the DC is very, very low. It's 5.
You want to watch me throw one? Because I'll do it.
Come on, baby.
This is
Come on,
where the
baby.
dice are going to
Oh,
tell.
wait.
Okay.
Ooh.
It's
So
a little
you-
dangerous.
You do not take a point of exhaustion. You're a little bit out of breath, but you managed to take shelter behind this wall of force, and just narrowly miss being clobbered by these stones. Eventually, the stones come to rest. The rock slide ends, and you see like the way behind you is still passable, but several large stones have kind of rocketed down past you and crashed into the sides of the cliff. And you can kind of see how these slopes of scree have formed over time. And that's all there is to it. That was the first scene.
I like that.
I like it.
Okay.
That was intense.
Yes, that's so much good. So good.
After resting around midday, taking some food, you continue into this twisting maze of steep canyons that form the Silverwastes. You quickly find that most paths lead to a dead end, or to unexpected switchbacks that end up looking over the way you just came. You got to kind of double back a lot, choose new paths, and it just becomes this tiresome slog as the afternoon wears slowly on, in stark contrast to the excitement, brief though it was, from this morning. You can each make an insight check to kind of keep an eye on group morale and notice when people are flagging, or performance to lift people's spirits.
Oh. Well, can I take that roll though and add my? It would be a 35.
I think I get advantage on ability checks from foresight. I do. Okay.
Can we do strength again?
Strength, I don't think would make it. Yeah.
It's 35 on lifting people's spirits.
Oh.
Can you lift mine a little harder? Because that was a natural one for me.
A little harder?
Expert.
A 35. I could charm God with a 35 performance.
God, you're a
Oof.
dick.
How's my simulacrum
Hey.
more insightful than myself?
Oof.
All right.
Love the things.
A2 got all the smarts.
We fear the things
Yeah.
we create.
So let's see. Let's do A2 first. So the 15. This odd simulacrum of Alexa does manage to catch a couple of you off guard as you're watching Alexa number 1 walk ahead, and suddenly you feel little A2's hand on you, and they give you like a little piece of advice, and or they reach out to Birdie at just the right time. Say, hey, it looks like Brina's stumbling. You want to go take a look at that.
Fuck off.
I do need her to make a con save. It's DC 5. It's very low.
Oh no!
Ha!
All right, so A2 has a point of exhaustion.
Victim 1.
Keytree, I also need you to make a con save.
Everything I wanted.
Also very low. DC is 5.
I thought I passed.
You did. It's degrees of success. So a 15 is exceptional performance. So the DC for exhaustion is very, very low. It's just this all afternoon, this slog of constantly paying attention to your party mates and keeping an eye on their emotion levels. And
Is it like a
it
19
takes
is
its
just,
toll.
not good enough as a 20?
It's just beneath 20. 20 is heroic tier. 20 plus is no save necessary.
There it
There
is.
you go. Yeah,
Damn.
you're good.
Nat 20.
Pulls through.
Wait,
It's
but
like-
did you roll a nat 1?
Rena did. Yeah.
Oh shit.
I
Uh,
have no insight on if I'm doing poorly, if anyone's doing poorly. Rita's logging ahead.
Alexa with a 9. I need you to make a con save, and this is a higher DC.
Oh,
There it is.
Okay, that passes. You do
Oh
not
my
take a point
god,
of
this
exhaustion.
is stressful
You-
now.
No.
Like it takes a lot out of you. Like you really start to realize that trying to pay attention to people, it's already exhausting, just constantly plugging. Asura aren't built to walk like this. It's just
I'm
like
resisting the
short
urge to
legs,
wish
yeah.
so hard.
It's just it's a lot. But also trying to keep an eye on people and make sure that they are not stumbling and all this. It's tiring, but you manage to push through. Brina.
Yes. Brina's been staring at
Baby
the girl
girl.
walking with her feet shuffling for the past 6 hours.
Yeah, you are tired, you're angry, and your morale is just sunk to the bottom. I
She's
need you to
angry.
make a con save versus exhaustion.
Okay. I have a decent con. What's
You
the
take
DC?
1 point of exhaustion.
Oh, fuck! What's the DC?
DC is 20.
For a
Oh.
God damn, this is bad. Boy.
I love it.
So does that slow the group down?
Disadvantage on
Oh.
ability checks going forward.
that's not
Ew, and if
movement.
you're
I
at
always-
1 point of. Okay, so you
Yeah,
have
you
disadvantage
got-
on ability checks. Does that include the skill challenge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, it's a compounding effect.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
well,
Brina's
um,
bad at everything else.
Disadvantage on the next to speed check. Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Oh boy, this is fun.
this afternoon, very, very difficult. As the sun begins to wester, Kaith manages to find a massive boulder that kind of juts out of the ground, and it's this small little sheltered dell where she indicates you could build a fire and kind of keep things under the level of the surrounding sand, and like build up some rocks around it to shelter the light from any passing critters. And you are able to take a long rest.
So clutch.
Kaith will volunteer to take first watch.
Weird, quick. Well, sorry, go ahead, finish.
I was just gonna ask next who
Okay.
would participate in the watch.
Yeah, I'll
I-
do the second watch.
You two will take the
Does
third.
simulacrum recover the point of exhaustion?
I was curious about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to do some quick research.
I didn't know if they could benefit from a long rest.
Right, that's always what I've assumed. Is like that's the general, like
Well, they can recover hit points,
Theory.
can't they? They just can't recover spell slots.
you have to spend gold.
Oh, to give them
They
back.
cannot be magically recovered hit points.
Ooh.
Mm.
So I've always assumed that yes, they cannot benefit from a long rest. Like that's how I've played it. So,
We would have to like grade or restore her.
right.
Not getting my greater restoration.
Well, I can wish it to be fair,
I can't heal a fucking robot.
but
don't
I
wanna-
just I want to bring it up and cover it because if Alexa will wish it before she goes to bed, of course, if I need to,
I'd say as the evening comes along,
or maybe
Birdie.
just for RP, I could do it one night. Sorry.
no, I'd say Birdie goes over to Brina. Like, hey,
What?
buddy, it looks like you had a rough day out there. But we actually do still need someone for fourth watch. And I was
Rita rolls over on her like little rock pillow that she has. Like
Rock.
puts her little like leaf blanket up tighter on her shoulder. Just harumphs. She was just
Okay.
like hangry for the whole second half of the day. And you know when
Yeah.
you're with somebody who's bitchy and it makes it everyone else's problem. It's me.
yeah, I'll ask Galtar. That's
Sorry,
fine.
I'm in the
That's
bathroom.
fine. I'll get Alexa.
Although if I recover this level of exhaustion, which after a long rest, cool.
I think you do.
I
wakes
will
up-
say that the simulacrum does recover
Okay.
exhaustion.
I
It
love
ca-
the
it
idea
does
of having
sleep,
just, like a
I guess.
shitty simulacrum though by the end, like a level 5 exhaustion. simulacrum.
Just Alexa with like giant red eyeballs.
Yeah.
They're fully
You
straight.
just
Wait,
say, yeah, this is
would
the
be
used
awesome.
model.
Dragged this fucking robot through the desert and it's on its last
She's
legs.
half off.
I will say that Jeremy Crawford had a sage advice tweet that said the intent is that any like class feature that is consumed, like spell points or sorcery points, are also not recovered.
Yeah.
It's supposed to become less effective over time, but I'll say exhaustion's a different thing.
She's got a bum wheel. I like it.
Yeah, right. She's not going to regain the Misty Step because that was a class feature thing.
Correct. All right, so let's see. I think yes. As the evening wears on, Kala I would say, Kala, when you take over watch, you kind of wake up on your own accord. You're not quite sure why, but as you look around, the dying embers of the fire, it's not really necessary for heat at this point. You
Did
see,
not get cold at night because we're in a desert.
Deserts get pretty cold at night.
I guess it might here. I mean, it's summer here. It's not like
No, but I think you can freeze to
because
death
there's
in
no
a desert.
humidity.
That's why it's so harsh.
I don't know if they
Right.
get how cold they still get in the summer. though.
tundra.
It's the
Laguna
fantasy
Jungle.
desert.
It's not Arctic, and you with your fur you're fine. But you see Kaith kind of materialize out of the darkness into this very dim aura of light coming from the low burning fire. And she gestures to you, placing a finger over her lips. She very quietly, with cat-like grace, walks around the fire and kneels down beside you. And she whispers, "I don't know what it was, but I heard something skittering about off that way in the darkness. It didn't come close, just something passing. Likely some sort of desert critter. Just be watchful. She walks. Are you guys sleeping in tents, or are you casting the mansion?
Oh, I was going to cast the mansion every night. I'm sleeping in the mansion.
Kaith skirts around the door and stays near to it, but you watch she just kind of curls up against the back wall of this very shallow depression. Curls up, one head on her arm, and for a moment, like you just kind of watch the dim reflection of the firelight in her eyes as she is just kind of laying there with her eyes open. Eventually, with your passive perception, you do hear the sounds of desert life, small sounds of movement, small creatures, nothing near like what you would weigh or the sounds that you would make, even if you were trying to be quiet. But nothing approaches the camp. As the night progresses, nothing untoward happens. Kitri more fitful sleep, and as you wake in the morning, it is evident to you that Kaith also had something of a rough night. She looks a little haggard.
Did I speak with her in the past about the like weird vision stuff we all had? Or that I only talked to Traherne about that?
I think you only spoke to Traherne. You may
Okay.
have said something to her once, but I'm not
I
sure.
wasn't sure because I know. I don't know. At some point during this trip, Kitri wanted to like pull her aside and have a conversation about it.
Okay.
But
Say
that could be like
this-
in an evening.
Fair enough. Okay. We will do this on the evening of the second day. Is there anything anyone would like to do around the camp before you leave for the second day of travel?
We supposed to be marking things as we go? Is that?
Yes, as you find workable paths, Kaith has just been marking big chalk symbols
Oh, okay.
on the canyon walls.
We don't need to worry about it. She's taking care of it.
And she actually explains
Good,
to you, as you, like
good.
throughout the
We're
first day,
great.
she was explaining like this chalk has been specially kind of created between the Priory and Asuran magisters.
Sure.
That it's just like a phosphorescent
Oh.
chalk that's like pretty permanent. Like a normal wind and rain and erosion won't wipe it clean.
Mm-hmm.
If need be, they like the person who applies it or someone who knows the proper technique can clean it and remove it, but it is a persistent guide for people.
Just need a magic erasing.
Permanent graffiti.
This is
Whether-
a
whether it
violation
is
of
day or
leave no
night.
trace principles. But
Okay. Good. I just didn't want to make sure we didn't get all the way there, and then we were like, "Oh, we didn't." We
Absolutely, it's a good question. So, after breaking camp the second day, you travel for a couple of hours through the dry, silent canyons. And you see that the land at some point starts to kind of fall away to the south, opening onto a plain of shimmering sand, what looks like maybe 5 miles across before you see more tall canyon walls. You can see what looks to be a small basin of water glinting in the sun with a few dark trees along the edge, where perhaps you could rest for a few hours and shake the monotony of this journey so that you don't have a repeat of yesterday afternoon. Each of you can choose to make an investigation check to distinguish what is real and what is not, or a medicine check to recognize the signs of mind suffering from dehydration.
What save are we making again? Sorry.
Either investigation or medicine.
Oh.
Well done,
Yes.
Brina. Alex, how do you have a +5 to medicine?
I suck.
I'm a little proficient in everything.
Oh, that's a killer. Okay.
favorite tagline.
I was just gonna be like, since
He's
when?
He's a jack of all trades. is what-
I'm just what I am, you know.
So no one got 2 levels of exhaustion yesterday, correct?
Mm-mm.
No.
Awesome.
But now we are.
We'll see.
So it begins.
He's gonna be like getting heat stroke today.
You're gonna start the will.
Kala, Brina, and Galatar, you are very easily able to discern that this is a mirage, that there is nothing there, and that running in that direction would only waste your time and energy. A2,
Oh.
A2 starts to head that way, and kind of breaks off a little bit, and finds himself in like a, not necessarily like quicksand, but like a deep sand, like almost like a deep snow, and it's very kind of difficult to move. And it takes them a second to realize that this is just an illusion. So they make their way back. I need A2 to make a con save. Very low DC. 6 just passes. This is
Oh,
DC
yeah.
I
5.
figured.
Oh my
He does
goodness.
not get exhaustion.
Oh, making diamonds.
Now, Alexa and Bertie, you do eventually realize, Alexa, that this is illusion. You're used to dealing with Bertie's shit, and so it takes you a moment, but Bertie, you follow Alexa, and it takes you like a hot minute before you realize, like, oh wait, she's like a little dehydrated, and this is not actually a thing that we're doing right now. We need to turn around. So I need the both of you to make a con save.
Woo!
Passed. It's fine. It's
Lord Khan is the worst for my little twink legend.
So with your original rolls, the DC for your con save would have just been 10.
Okay.
So you guys pass. You do not take a point of exhaustion.
Nice.
Keetri had a 9. That's the last one. So Keetri, like you like shift into a bird form real fast. You're like, cool, pond, and you're like halfway there before you realize in your bird form that that's not real. Like as you move, the light shifts, and you eventually figure it out. So with a 9, I need you to make a con save, and this is a DC 15.
This is just normal, right?
Mhm. Constitution saving throw.
Ooh.
Just barely.
That's it.
Because of your use of the wild shape and your much lighter movement, you don't trek through the thick sand. And so you are able to return to the group quickly and without exhausting yourself. Very nicely done.
I like this like tiered skill challenge.
Yeah.
I wondered if it'd be too complicated. It took me a while to figure out because the way it's presented in the little adventure is not clear. But yeah, I like this. This is cool. As the day wears on, Keetri, you specifically notice that Kaith seems more and more uncomfortable, even agitated. You try to talk to her, but her few responses to your queries are short and final. At some point, she steps aside and pulls out some materials and draws a very abstract, very quick map on a piece of parchment, marking a few important landmarks, and kind of hands it to Galatar and just says, "Here, follow this. I shall
Sure.
meet you at camp tonight." And she moves, like she just, like for a moment she just vanishes, and you see her like off in the distance, like stepping out from a rock and continuing on at a great pace. I need each of you to either make a history check to interpret the map, or a perception check to notice these important landmarks.
Question: does my cartography get me any sort of benefit?
You can make it with advantage.
Hey.
All right, 2 bad rolls.
But wait, we don't know where camp is. She makes camp? How do we... What?
Right, yeah.
There's a destination marked on the map.
Oh, okay.
29. Oh,
off me.
A2 is like perfect. They're like, oh, I don't care. I'm fine. Everything's okay. I know where I'm going. Kitri's like walking into a tree repeatedly. Transport via plants. Transport via plants. Why is this not working?
Hang on a minute. I have not been keeping track appropriately of your successes and failures.
Oh, in the scenes overall.
Yeah, in the scenes overall.
Oh.
So,
Whoops.
27, 18.
I think for the most part we've been doing pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see.
Guess that last one we did pretty good. Kind of not good.
Yeah, I don't think the majority of you have ever gotten exhaustion, so I think we're good. That would be.
I think at most it's been like 2 of us.
Yeah, I think only 2 people at a time have gotten it.
Yeah.
Now that may change after this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Brina and Kitri,
I can't read. It's not my fault.
I need you guys to make a Constitution saving throw. It's DC 10.
Oh,
no.
God.
Okay. So
I'm
Kitri,
gonna.
you end up
I've
with
been
20.
okay. Well, last couple rolls, I've been rolling with Foundry, just because it's been easier to like click back and forth,
Hmm.
and it's fucking me over. Kitri's like, Kay's handwriting is terrible. I don't even
And it
know what
is.
this is.
Galatar
hmm
with a 17. I need you to make a con save.
Look, man, the sun's bright in the desert. I wear a giant ass cloak.
It's
Nothing
DC
about
5.
this is good for me. Yeah, that's a 12 plus, I think 11 now, 10. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 22 total.
Bird is good. Brina's good. Lex is good. A2 is amazing. Okay. Yeah, so that's another overall pass. You ultimately find Kaith once again, standing silently at the head of a wide but shallow dale, broken into several different levels of kind of tiered stone, with like these shelves of rock on either side, several hundred feet wide, and there is a dried stream bed, like the remains of a stream bed winding through the middle. You can see on these shelves of rock the tinder dry remains of what were once palisade walls and the skeletal frames of old huts kind of dotting the landscape. As you approach, Kaith stands silently, looking out over this region. Kitri, as you get close, she lets out a long sigh and says, I learned later it was called Togon's Refuge after its chieftain. I shall never forgive myself for my part in its destruction. The memory of it haunts me to this very day.
I'm sorry. We
She
don't.
kind of
We don't have to, stay here if you don't want to.
kind of looks up, and you can see she's squinting, as though the sun is in her eyes, but you can just see like moisture kind of dotting the bottom of her eyes. She squints a little bit and says, "We're losing the light. This is as safe a place as any to camp for the evening. We can take the high ground. It'll give us a good vantage point." She turns to the rest of you and says, "This was once a centaur camp. The Silverwood tribe made their homes here, but they were all killed, tragically. Come. She turns and kind of leads you guys up to the right, up onto some of these ledges. And you can see there's a long kind of sloping path from one tier to the next. About 15 feet wide, that looks pretty well worn. And she leads you over to what looked like a cluster of what used to be huts. It just kind of looks like driftwood now and some fallen barren trees. But there is a sizable circle in the ground of large, like cantaloupe-sized stones, about a 10-foot diameter, where you could build a fire. She sort of gestures offhandedly and kind of walks off between some of the tents and sits down, just puts her back to a rock, leans her head back and closes her eyes.
Kitri will go sit next to her if she gets the vibe that, you know, she won't just like get up and walk away.
She just sits, kind of keeps her eyes closed for a while. What do the rest of you do?
You know, Galthar, you could put the door to the manor right in the middle of the circle.
Oh yeah, I can do that.
I mean, it's not like we're gonna have a fire out here.
Yeah, we could do that. And after Galatar does put up the mansion, hearing, I guess, Case say that this is a place centaurs used to live, he would want to investigate or look around for any like sign of their civilization or time here, anything he could find that might give him more information about the Silverwood tribe.
You make an investigation check.
16 plus 11, 27.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't take terribly long to realize that the living spaces, the huts, you identify them quickly, but they are absolutely barren. The only things that remain are things that were made of like thick wood or stone. There are like the desiccated, kind of crumbling remains of old dried vegetation that are almost non-existent now.
Mm-hmm.
With that investigation check, you're also pretty quickly able to identify like the areas that would have been for the storage of food and grain and things like that, like dried roots. By the layout of the land and like the big wooden stakes that would have formed corners of the walls. But there's very little stonework here.
Mm-hmm.
The few places there are look like maybe what would have been like the entrance to a root cellar, sort of collapsed in on itself, but it's just only like 2 or 3 feet high of stone, and you gather from some of the holes that it would have had like palisade, wooden stakes in it, and probably a tent-like canopy or something.
Mm-hmm.
You find absolutely no beadwork, artwork. Occasionally, as you kind of kick through the dirt, you find like a broken, like a wooden totem, but it's cracked and a part of it's missing, and it's very kind of hard to identify at first. You gather that they're little bits of cultural remains, but there's nothing whole. And there's nothing really in any sort of good shape. It looks like this place was either washed away or picked over a long, long time ago.
As I'm kicking through like the dirt or the sand or whatever, I guess I'm also curious, do we come across anything that looks like either it would be graves or are there like little pieces of bone or other things strewn about? Like, does it look like, is there any sign that there was some sort of death here?
Do you go very far afield, or do you kind of stay near camp?
I mean, I would explore decently far afield. I wouldn't want to go more than maybe like a quarter mile or something outside of like where the mansion is. Close enough that like if I needed to get back, I can do so very quickly. But he's since it's centaurs, and he's particularly wary of centaurs and interested in kind of their role with Krita.
I would say that the rest of you, I don't know if you're in the manor at this point or if you're hanging about camp as Kitri and Kaith speak with one another.
If the manor's up, Lexa's in the manor.
Probably hangs out outside until she's ready for bed.
Okay.
Pretty out there. Continue.
Yeah, because you said we're kind of on like an elevated place up some.
Yeah, you have a decent view.
Yeah, I feel like Birdie would pull his lute out and kind of be playing along, but like he's kind of doing that passively as he kind of like tries to take stock of the horizon to see if there's anything worth noting, you know, campfires or you know, any signs of
Yeah, as
anything.
you look around, like you can see where this stream would have come down the way you came from the canyon, and it would have run all through the bottom of this very sort of narrow valley, a couple 100 feet across. Imagine in layout something similar to like looking down the river at the Ohio River Valley, but the side cliffs, the hills, are like 10-story high red sandstone Grand Canyon cliffs, but they're much closer together. So maybe like twice the width of the Ohio. And then between them, you have like these sort of stair step levels of naturally formed stone as the river had worn away lower and lower levels. And it goes on and kind of twists and turns, kind of the way the Ohio River Valley does. So you can't see terribly far down the valley. But looking out as far as you can see along the hills, make a perception check for me. You don't see any campfires. 32.
You see Camp Infernos!
Yeah, you don't see any campfires. You don't see movement.
I just
Which is
count the grains of sand.
It's a little odd. You don't see any large, like desert critters.
Mm.
You know, you grew up in a kind of arid land around the brand and outside of Ebonhawk. So you're used to seeing like devourers, which are like, you know, dual-tailed scorpions the size of a dog. You know, things that creep and crawl, and like desert, like scrubland, like goats and lizards and things, all manner of things kind of scurry through the grass. Rabbits, birds, snakes. You don't really see any movement, so it's a little odd. You do notice with a 32, about 300 yards further into the canyon, on the opposite side, there is a dark shadow that seems to indicate there is a cave or something where part of this river might have snaked off, or maybe a tributary might have come out of the nearby cliff sides and joined the river at the bottom of this valley. And Galatar, as you're kind of walking around the lower regions, you do have to put some distance between you and the camp, but as you kind of reach the extremity of your range there, you find a massive pile of bones. It's maybe 40 feet in diameter, and there are just like
That's bigger than
dozens,
Fireball.
50, 60 skeletal remains, and like you see man shapes, shoulders, arms, skulls, but you also see large equine bones.
And just out of curiosity, since Galatar does have a lot of experience like with centaurs and their cultures, do they tend to live in like, you know, 67, like is that kind of the typical size of like a centaur settlement? So does it seem like, I guess,
When a centaur village isn't part of like a greater tribe, like the Great Modnir Alliance that's threatening Divinity's Reach, yeah,
Mhm.
they tend to be smaller nomadic bands.
so this would be like basically close to everyone in the
Could
settlement?
be.
Yeah,
But usually between like 50 and 100 would be normal,
yeah.
and there are quite a few here, and they're old, and they're worn, and like parts of them are missing. So scavengers have probably come through the valley. You know, there's no telling how many might be spread across the valley floor.
Okay. Gotcha.
Keitra, you sit down beside Kaith, and she sits quietly for a moment, her eyes closed, her head back. Eventually, she opens her eyes and kind of turns her gaze towards you with a sigh. How are you, sister?
Oh, I haven't been sleeping well, but
I know the feeling.
do you have the visions, dreams too?
I have all manner of dreams. Mostly nightmares.
Specifically, like green eyes peering at you in the darkness, and then a voice calling to you.
She takes a long swallow, pulls out her flask and takes a sip, offers you
I'll
a
take a
swig.
swig, yeah.
Yeah,
Is it magically alcoholic now?
No, it is a familiar recipe from the groves, like full of like electrolytes to help metabolize the water a little faster.
Our special drink.
Yeah.
It's chlorophyll.
And
I'm
draft.
funny. I'm funny. Sorry.
She says, sometimes, yes. Though the voice that calls to me most frequently is Fowler.
Hmm.
She kind of looks out over the ruins of the village, thinking, and says, this was Fowlin's doing, you know. I didn't realize it at the time, but she loathed the creatures because they reminded her of Ventari's teachings. She provoked them deliberately. I defended myself, but we should have fled. I wish I could go back and change him.
You know she wouldn't have done that. You know what she was there for.
I do. Doesn't make it any easier.
It doesn't.
I don't like being here. I can feel her. I know she's been through here recently. I don't know what we'll find at the far side of these canyons. But I'm worried.
Do you know what, to her, the ultimate, like, her ultimate success, do you know what that, like, actually looked like, or was, like, what did she dream of, like, her ideal reality?
Fowlin dreamed of a world where everyone did precisely what she wanted them to, whether they knew it or not. A world where she had absolute control. I don't know that she ever actually had a practical picture of what that would look like. I can't imagine her being a queen or a monarch. I don't think she'd like the responsibility, to be quite honest.
She'd want more of puppets as opposed to people.
I think in her heart of hearts, she was just afraid. Afraid of being powerless and being helpless. She didn't like feeling naive and young. She wanted to feel in control, safe. But for her, that meant dominating everything and everyone around her. I wish I could have gotten through to her.
Who knows if at this point that's even, what she still feels. She could have changed her motives completely.
Indeed. The Nightmare Court had a corruptive influence on all Silvari who encountered it. I have to imagine that while Kaith flourished there, it must have had an equally negative impact.
She's probably just lost all sight of what she ever, actually aspired for. I can't say that, it's not a bad feeling to want to be knowledgeable and, not helpless, but losing sight of that and choosing that you just want complete dominion like that could never happen. But I fear that, preying on that motivation, she's gone down a very, very dark path.
I agree. We should get some rest. Tomorrow will be a long day.
All right. Are you sure that you want to sleep here outside? My bedroom in the tower is kind of like a garden. So it's kind of like you're outside but not, if that would make it slightly easier to rest, especially being here.
I appreciate it, truly. I think this is something I need to come to terms with.
Okay.
Take first watch and sleep out here. But
All
thank
right.
you again.
Anytime.
So Galatar, when you're done searching, you come back to camp. I would say while you're out looking, you also see this cave in the distance that Birdie saw.
If I see the cave, and it's how far from camp?
About like 300 yards. Like 3 football fields.
Yeah, I guess if it's like close enough that I could still see the camp, I would be curious just to see, like, is there any like indication as to where this water source came from to begin with? Like, I guess that would be
You can see that the dry riverbed that runs along the bottom would have come in the same way you came into the valley. It would have run down the canyon that you entered through.
And then gone into the cave.
Yeah, well, it runs kind of lengthwise down the valley. Looking perpendicularly out of the cave, it looks from your perspective now, the cave is about mid-level in height as far as like from the ground to the top of the canyon walls. It looks like a smaller tributary source would have come out of the cave and joined this.
I think he would want to go check near the cave, like not go into the cave, but maybe get like 100 feet away or so and send Ibu to just check and make sure there's nothing that seems like it would be potentially problematic if like a large party of soldiers was coming through here, just that there are no untoward surprises or anything like that.
Yeah. So you get about 100 feet and send Ibu in to take a look. The opening is unimpressive. Nothing particularly special, but you do hear Ibu reports in telepathically that you hear the sound of not running water, but like dripping and the plink of water in water.
So it seems like there is some sort of water source, however deep in this cave.
And I would say with Ibu's owl eyes, there is a faint glow coming from the back of the cavern.
a club.
Hmm.
I would move maybe 50 feet closer so that we're still in telepathic range, so he can go about another, I don't know how far it is into the cavern to try and go towards the glow, but to check it out and see why in the
The
world glow.
passage kind of narrows down a little bit, and it gets to an opening that's only about 5 feet high and maybe like 3.5 feet wide and kind of jagged. And as Ibu kind of swoops down, without entering it, he can see that beyond this, the passage widens out suddenly again, and there are enormous bioluminescent mushrooms
Do these
visible.
Let's get high.
do these look at all familiar to when I saw what's her face when I was scrying on her?
No.
Okay. Okay. Well, and he doesn't see any other signs of like life or activity, just these bio.
Yeah, I would say he hears the sound of the water coming from that chamber. And there are lots of mushrooms. Like there are small ones, there are hand-sized ones, there are basketball-sized ones, and like as he kind of flies a couple of passes, kind of making an infinity symbol to get, down and look through without passing in, just to keep moving.
Yeah.
Like there are some that are, 3 and 4 feet across. And pretty tall, 4, 5, 6 feet high, and they're all sort of dimly bioluminescing.
Huh. Okay. But he doesn't see anything else while he's there, just the bioluminescent mushrooms in the water. Well, if he doesn't see any other predators, Galatar is not gonna push his luck. When he gets back, he would mention it to Kate just to see if she would happen to know anything about like that cavern, because it seems unusual that this bioluminescence and these mushrooms would still be thriving even when the outside landscape seems to have deteriorated so greatly.
You find Kaith. There's what looks like what used to be like a big, beautiful, like cherry tree.
Mhm.
But the upper branches have kind of broken. The trunk is kind of split and cracked and fallen off, and is nowhere to be found. But the lowest thick branch still exists, and she has kind of alighted up top and is just kind of sitting casually on it, leaning with like one hand a little further out on the bough to support her weight, just kind of keeping an eye on the area. And as you start describing this narrow opening and the fungi, she sort of slips and catches herself a little bit, and looks a little paler than usual. She says in a kind of shaky voice, "Yes, there is a cave on the opposite side of the valley. As far as I know, it's just a cave. But one of my sisters died there. I will not go there. Feel free to explore it if you wish, but as far as I'm aware, there's nothing special about it."
No, I'm sorry. I just found it and seemed out of place given the rest of the terrain, so I didn't know if there was something there. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
There are places in the Silverwastes that hold underground springs, reservoirs of ancient water. This place was once full of life. In days gone by, there were great waterfalls that cascaded over the cliff's edges. This whole valley was teeming with water and abundant vegetation. I would not be surprised in a cavern with standing water to see some sort of flora growing.
It's okay if you don't want to talk about the technology. I hope you don't mind if I ask. Is what happened to your friend that died the reason Balin came the way she is?
You repeat that? You kind of cut it out.
Sorry, he was asking if the friend that died, if that's the reason that what's her name, Fallon? Is that right?
Fowlin?
Fallon that's the reason she became the way that she is. If that was like what caused her to start down this much darker path. Because I don't think she's told us anything about like the friend that died, right?
Right. She takes like a deep breath and kind of like squares her jaw and says, Fowlin is one of the firstborn, as am I, as is Marshal Traherne,
Sure.
as was our sister, Wynne. Fowlin always had a darker sense of humor than the rest of us, and a darker side to her nature. I tried to turn her away from that, but as long as I've known her, there's always been something of a shadow that she carried with her. Now, this cave was not the beginning of Fowlin's downfall. It was, unfortunately, the tragic culmination, one might say. We lost our sister Wynne in the cave. That's all I'm prepared to say about it. She kind of like fiddles with her hands a little bit.
Well, bless you. I'm sorry for your loss. It seems I don't have any understanding of what it must be like to be connected the way that the Solari are, and especially the way your firstborns are. But from what Keith describes, I can only imagine it must be particularly intense for you. So sorry
It
that
is.
that happened.
Thank you.
I'll leave you to your thoughts. If you would like to come into the mansion for anything at all, you're always welcome. There's a bathhouse or anything should you want something to take your mind off of this place. Maybe not be outdoors somewhere that brings back such bad memories.
I appreciate your offer. I'll bear that in mind.
Galatar will just slowly shy away.
Just kind of stares out in the darkness over the valley.
Did you say Wayne? Is that her name? Wayne?
Wynne. So it's
Wynne.
W-Y-N-N-E.
W-Y-N-N. Okay.
Wynne. Pronounced like W-I-N.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyone still standing outside would have overheard that conversation. It was not whispered. Is there anything anyone would like to do before bed?
Brina just keeps an eye on Kate.
So with my like perception check.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you said we heard the conversation about the mushrooms.
If you were outside, yeah. If you hadn't gone into the mansion yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay. I figured I would have seen Galatar like poke
Probably would
around
have seen
this.
him like walking towards it and coming back.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's all good.
Suspicious.
I thought
I
about
want
it.
mushrooms. We need one for the bar. That's all I'm
Assuming it's
saying.
gonna survive the journey.
All right. Is anybody keeping watch?
I can
Okay.
keep watch as well.
Kala, Brina.
Didn't you say Keith was taking?
Yeah,
Do
we'll
we
take
need a
first
fourth
watch.
person? I'll take the fourth one then.
Okay. Kala and Kitri. Because I think Brina, your passive perception is like 12? Yeah.
It's 12.
Kala and Kitri, the night passes without any disturbance. With your ridiculous passive perceptions, you do notice that like there is no sounds of animals here. I could probably shut that off actually. Yeah, there. There is just a light wind whistling down through the valley. But both of you, as you kind of make your rounds around camp and keep an eye on things, you can both just barely, because you have stupid passive perceptions, just barely make out this dim blue-green glow from across the valley and off to the right. It's just ever so faint. Like, you, at first you think it might just be like a creature walking by and it's a distant eye reflecting firelight, but it persists where it is, and it, over time, as your eyes adjust to the darkness, it's got like a faint blue-green color. Aside from that, nothing really happens. The next day dawns clear sky, bright sun. You all leave the mansion. Keetra, you're on last watch. As the sun crests over the horizon, your companions have not yet awakened. But you hear the tumble of a loose pebble as Kaith appears out of the rocks at your back, having taken a position higher above the camp for her sleeping spot. Good morning.
Good morning. Did you sleep all right? At all?
Well enough. I think it, in an odd way, it's done me a little bit of good to be here. Gave me time to really think about it. Your friend, the wizard, the tall one,
Yeah.
he found a cave on the opposite side of the valley. It's where Wynne died.
I would have guessed as much.
She fled there to hide. I will not go there, but if your companions wish to explore the glowing fungus that he described, I don't remember that being there when I was here last, but I'm happy to just go down the trail a ways, meet you later.
I'll ask them, but I honestly don't know why. Like, I don't really have a reason to go. So, but I'll check with them.
Humans have an odd expression. Curiosity killed the cat. I don't know if that's meant to apply to Char, but perhaps it could apply to other races as well.
It's just an extremely racist idiom.
Oh.
Do we
Rest of you-
know?
Yeah, you guys come out of the mansion in the morning, and it's cool. But as the sunlight kind of hits the camp and starts to warm the ground around you, it very rapidly becomes comfortable.
Do we know, like, as I hear all these people start talking about these mushrooms and stuff, do we know, like, the properties of these mushrooms, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, if there's some glowing mushrooms.
Are they similar to the giant mushrooms we saw near Balak's lair? Wasn't there like a mushroom room there?
The corpses?
I don't think those
There-
were glowing though.
There were rooms
Okay.
where they were harvesting mushrooms to eat. Yeah.
Based
they were
on
I
it,
mean, a lot of
significant size.
mushrooms have, like, medicinal properties.
a lot of them can also kill you, Bertie.
A lot of them get you high too. Woohoo!
And
Rena,
also,
that's
Rena,
so
where
weird.
did you come from on that one?
also kill you. Maybe make you high, but then 30 minutes later you're dead.
I
um,
mean,
Well, those are a hell of a 30 minutes.
worst case scenario.
Honestly, do you think that somehow these mushrooms are going to be so much better or different than mushrooms you can literally get anywhere else in the world? You have all the money
Yes.
anyone could ever imagine, Bertie. You can probably get whatever you want.
Let's make a pro
Yeah,
and
like
a
these
con
these
list.
bioluminescent
Fucking
mushrooms are
mushrooms.
right there. Yeah.
Bertie, I'm with you. Let's go check them out.
I guess
Mm.
my only other question would be knowing stuff about nature, like, does it, I don't know, does it seem like it must be something magical, I guess, right? But I don't.
Totally.
Is
So
that like
if
when a Silvari dies, like what do plants grow around their body? Is this like a common thing? Would this just be because of
And when anybody dies, mushrooms grow out of their body.
That's
So
true.
that's not really like special.
yeah, but you don't get like bioluminescent mushrooms or
yeah, normally it's just
sorry, I've
Right.
never
mushrooms.
seen that.
I will. I'll have
Oh.
cool mushrooms.
Yeah. I think sometimes
You want to put that
mushrooms
to the
just
test,
glow.
Brina?
If this is the fucking case, y'all, ugh. Okay, I hate this. Ugh.
The
But is
what?
that like something that happens when Silvari die? Is
Lavari
this like a
died, turned
common
into
effect?
bioluminescent mushrooms, and now Birdie and Alexa are like, let's go fucking eat it.
Yeah!
I will
We'll eat
say-
Silvari corpse.
Alexa, your people having come from the depths of Tyria,
This is true.
they're used to farming strange fungi that don't grow on the surface, and it was fairly common knowledge among the Asura that in the deep places of Tyria, this is not one of those places, but in the deep places, it is not unusual to have 6, 15-foot tall tree-like mushrooms and virtually everything in certain places bioluminescence.
Mm.
But it
There-
is
there
weird that
are
they're so close.
And
all
that they
sorts
would
of
have
wonders.
sprouted in 2 years, right? Because the Silvari have only been around, like, Wynn would have died not that long ago? How long
I
ago?
would say it does seem to you, Alexa, that growths of such size would take a little longer without some sort of encouragement.
Yeah, I mean, I assume it's because of the corpse. I'm not particularly interested in, like, disturbing that, but if you're going to go, I mean, I don't mind tagging along. I'm not opposed to people going.
I guess also it would be worth noting that one of our siblings died there.
Kate sort of clears her throat and just says, "We took Wynn's body back to the grove."
That's what I was gonna say. It's probably not still there. I mean, I don't know what Silvari do, but most people don't just leave somebody.
So, but she died in the cave, like where the
Yes.
mushrooms are grown? Okay.
Yes, I don't know that the two are related, but
Well, such
suppose they could be.
such unnatural growth could be related to what we're here for.
It certainly could somehow be tied into whatever this larger force. Perhaps it could hold secrets, but it's not wrong.
I feel like it's probably a waste of time and unrelated to what we're doing, but maybe
It's
we
a
could
valid
check
point,
in with the
Paula.
Pact, see how far behind they are.
I think
You
that's
know.
not
And based on the size of the cavern, I mean, it wouldn't take us long to like take a look at these mushrooms. I mean, we could do this and be back on our way in 30 minutes, an hour. Not
I
long.
doubt that.
famous last words.
I'll step out of the
I'm-
group a little bit and send Traherne a message.
Okay.
Traherne, all is well. We want to just check in and see where you all are at.
A couple of seconds go by and you hear, "Ah, excellent, my friend. We are in the canyons. It is slow going. There was something of an avalanche. All the shaking of our siege engines and the so many feet seems to have unsettled the stone, but we progress."
Sounds like they're going a little slow. They also caused a little avalanche. I think we've got time. It's easy, more than enough time.
All right.
I'm indifferent to the mushrooms, to be honest. Yeah. I feel like
If we
Well,
think
we
it
can
would
take a
be
look.
helpful, then
it
let's
can't
go.
hurt, right?
Definitely can't hurt.
I mean, there is
Okay.
always the chance it could be very helpful, like it could contain healing properties or some sort of magic that's beneficial. It could also be, as Kitri said, incredibly dangerous, poisonous, and kill us.
We can just
I
send A2
predict
in.
that one of you is gonna get high and try to bite me.
Yeah. Well,
That
When
is
must have done that? Is it
Not a
just
fair
Alexa?
prediction. That just happens.
You know,
I don't remember.
forgive and forget, Carla. That's what I say. You
Mm.
know.
Hmm.
All right, let's go to the cave.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's
sure.
going to the cave?
I'm going to the cave.
I'll go with
Everybody?
whoever's
Everybody
going.
going?
I think everybody's going
I'll
except for
check out
Keith, I guess.
the cave, I think. Yeah.
So Keith follows behind you guys, and as you break from the valley floor to go up towards this cave mouth, she just says, "Very well. I'm going to continue ahead for a bit. I'll scout. Catch me up," and just takes off.
Really fast. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to catch up to her, but that's fine.
You just turn into birds.
Fair, fair point.
You guys make your way into the cave, and you
Oh, Kitri will go with the group as far as like the cave entrance, and then she will remain outside.
Okay.
Just sort of sits down and watches.
Okay. As you approach the mouth of the cave, you can hear the kind of dripping of water and the sound of a still pond inside, just kind of moving faintly with the breeze that kind of comes in and out of the cave. The rest of you, as Kitri kind of takes up her seated position at the cave mouth, you continue in. It's a decent-sized chamber initially, maybe 20, 25 feet across, about twice that deep. But at the back, the way kind of bends around to the right, and there's this low gap in the stone of the wall. The hole itself is only about 5 feet high and about 3.5, 4 feet wide, and it's kind of jagged at the edges. It's not a perfectly cut door.
Right.
So Brina and Kala can fit. They just have to squeeze, so it's difficult terrain.
So the mushrooms aren't here.
No,
They're
in the cave opening, it's just a cave. And
right, and then this
floor
is like cut into. Gotcha.
generally like mildly damp. It's not like not
Yeah.
very much. But yeah, as you reach this cave, this inner doorway or aperture, you kind of bend your head down to look in. Alexa, you just walk up and can see in.
Bitches.
On the other side of this rock wall, though, the cavern opens out. It is much higher. It's about 30 feet high, and it's 20, 25 feet wide. It rapidly goes to 30 and 40, and you can see there is like a peninsula of stalagmites that kind of come up and block your view as this shallow watery pool kind of bends around that peninsula into the distance as the cavern snakes around. But the sort of shoreline is about 5 to 10 feet of ground that stands up above the water level before the cave walls kind of cliff upward. And the shoreline is just lined with dozens, hundreds of mushrooms of various size, all kind of glowing in an eerie greenish blue hue. Some pointy, some smaller with rounded caps, some massive umbrella-sized, caps on them. But the whole area is dimly lit by these bioluminescent fungi.
I will do detect magic.
As you look around, nothing really magical about it. Oddly.
It all seems to be natural.
But knowledge would indicate it.
Well, there are bioluminescent things in nature.
Yeah, but to grow this quickly, right? It would just be.
It just must be a coincidence.
Unless
The world is a marvelous place.
If I play like I'll pull my lute. If I just play a little music, does anything happen?
You start strumming some tunes.
Just very
And
gentle, yeah.
The acoustics in the chamber that you're in are not bad. They move back towards the entrance where Kitri is, but it carries pretty nicely here at this end. Other than the nice echo, you don't notice anything.
This is in the
outdoorsy.
first cave.
Yeah, I assume you guys haven't passed through the archway yet.
Okay.
It's just kind of what you can see.
I'm
looking
not
in.
heading.
Yeah.
yeah, follow after Alexa.
Head into the mushroom room.
Shroom room.
The shroom room.
Shroom.
Brina and Kala squeeze through.
Yeah.
I'd like each of you to make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Oh, Ryan.
Why do we have the weakness?
Because
Give me a button.
we're
Give me a
cats
button,
and we're
I'll
about to
press it.
die.
This is because you're walking through the archway?
God damn it.
You were just
Yeah, 'cause we
walking in
walked
through
into
the
the
tunnel
mushroom
and we have to
room.
make a con save?
Spores.
Or is this like upon entering the room?
As you enter this mushroom chamber.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's, so
We're about to get mind controlled.
you guys start like Alexa walks through the archway, and immediately you're in this like cathedral-like chamber full of this beautiful bioluminescent light. You feel very at home. Galtar comes in, Birdie comes in.
I would like to add +5 to that.
Brina has to kind of like get down on one knee and sort of like wedge her shoulders in and snake through and turn around and offer her hand to Kala. Kala's gone down on like all fours and has to almost belly crawl to kind of move her hunched back through this narrow space. But you guys do manage to make it in. And as you begin to move through this chamber, you can see that it's fairly wide. The water itself is between like 15 and 25 feet across at any given point. There's 10 or 15 more feet of shore before you see these tall cliff-like walls that go up to this high arched, uneven cave ceiling. To your right is this peninsula with these big, tall stalagmites. And opposite them on the far wall is another like smaller peninsula with more of these stalagmites, and the water kind of curls around through them. And as you sort of pass between them, you see just beyond these two opposing, almost lower jaw-looking peninsula, there's a wider cavern. It kind of gets a little longer, and you can see it kind of fades into the darkness in the back beyond your dark vision as the cave sort of narrows again and goes back to being a normal cave. It seems the mushrooms are just confined to this one chamber.
And so are we.
Wow, this is wild
Birdie.
time too. WHO just announced the danger of fungal infections.
Birdie, as you start walking around, you see your companions are walking around you, and it strikes you as so beautiful. You don't even know how you didn't notice it before. All of the beautiful stars and those so quickly visible, those constellations that you learned as a child. As you look at the ceiling of this cavern, you are looking at the starry sky over Ebonhawk, complete with now, on the far edge of the ceiling, like the dim purple glow of the sunset and the brand in the distance. And you feel immediately this sense of feeling at home, feeling very comfortable. Brina,
Oh no.
as you help Kala get to her feet,
No wonder that person died here. Of course
you
they
take
did.
a deep breath, and as you're looking around at all of these beautiful glowing mushrooms, you think, how did these mushrooms grow in such cold environments? Because the air you're breathing is the crisp breath of the Shiver Peak Mountains. And as you sniff the air, it's not a dirt or a peaty ground smell. You smell the scent of wood fires, of cook fires, the home hearth fires burning at your homestead. You feel as you're stepping through this room, not the splash of water around your ankles, but the crunch and the cold of fresh fallen snow. Alexa, looking around at these mushrooms, you've never lived in the Underdark, in the depths of Tyria where your people came from, but you've heard the stories of Rata Primus, of the Central Transfer Chamber, and you can't believe your luck at having rediscovered it. There on the far wall is a high stair carved in the manner of your people that leads to a high stone platform with the ring of an Asura gate pulsing with arcane power active that surely will lead you to Rata Primus, to the home, your ancestral home of your people. Galatar, Alexa 2, Kala, you guys are surrounded by beauty. It's a little damp. You know, the water kind of splishes and splashes at your feet. Your three companions are staring in wide-eyed wonder, and between these jutting bits of land with the stalagmites, they've just kind of stopped and are staring slack-jawed around them.
I
Alexa,
run towards the
Birdie,
gate
and Alexa, Birdie, and Brina,
if we're able to move.
you stand stock still, taking in these sensations. And you thought you entered a cave, but you realize now that was a falsehood. Much like you once were so lonely, so isolated, a creature alone. This was not real. In fact, it was a nightmare. But you're awake now. And you realize that this frightening fiction of being separate, of being divided, confined, no longer relevant. You look around you now, and Brina, you look to your left, and you can see the shell that you once occupied.
Oh, fuck, bro.
Alexa, you look down. And you too see the illusion of the entity you once were. It's tiny, awkward, probing antennae, its soft, vulnerable flesh, the heavy, cumbersome debris that clings to it. And Birdie, you know that you are still within that shell, but you are also clinging in safety to the cool, nourishing wall of the cavern. You are also, Brina, resting comfortably in the shifting sand of the floor,
Shifting sand?
drinking the joy of water droplets that fall from the ceiling, Alexa. And from each of these angles, each of you can see the cavern all around you in this kaleidoscopic, fragmented vision. See,
I feel like
Kala,
I've seen this episode of the X-Files.
Yeah, I say it's the people who joked about getting high who are now on the trip. trip to
100%.
hell.
moreover, you see those who are still other. The part of you that still labors under that delusion of separateness, of sorrow. Pieces of you that jitter and stumble uncomfortably around the cavern, making sorrowful noises. And you feel this upwelling of great pity for them. You know that they're capable of feeling and thinking after a fashion, but there will always be some kind of division. They are not joy.
This does not bring me joy.
It's not really
Those of you who passed your save, your friends slowly stop moving, and their eyes are kind of staring into the middle distance, their arms limp at their side. Galatar, Kala, Alexa 2.
Doesn't matter. If she doesn't get orders from me, she's not gonna do anything.
you hear in your minds, "We are joy." And it sounds like 100 beautiful voices almost sing this phrase to you in harmony. And it seems to, like, it echoes, but you don't hear it with your ears. It's a very odd sensation.
What happens when you join?
Yeah,
everyone?
that's great.
Did you hear that, Carla?
Yeah.
And you hear, "You are sorrow. It is unnecessary."
Yep. We're just gonna go now.
Yeah, maybe we just take our friends and we leave.
"We can take away the suffering where you dwell and replace it with joy. You can be joy."
I can take away suffering and replace it with death.
I've seen Galatar, so I don't really want to be Joy.
What does
Also, I
Keith
have a
think
real
about this
thing about
conversation?
people being in my head. It was not good last time, so if you could get out.
If you refuse to become joy, leave this place. Otherwise, the weepers will contain your sorrow. And you hear from the dim recesses of the cave ahead of you a gentle sort of slosh,
Carla.
Okay.
and kind of
I'm
slowly just stepping out of the darkness, hands down by their sides, are 3 large, what look like centaurs.
Kitri?
But as they step into the
Don't bring
dim
her in the
blue
room.
light, you can see like large pustule-like mushroom growth coming out of like where their eyes should be, and out of their skin, which is a dull kind of blue teal color with strange colored veins. And they just like they don't move to attack. They each have a weapon, but they're just sort of holding it loose down at their side and sort of looking down at the floor.
I'm gonna pick up Birdie and try to shove him back through the hole.
Yeah, and Galatar, while she's doing that,
Rebirth.
gonna grab
Rebirth.
Alexa and cast Mind Blank on Alexa to see if that can give her back her senses.
It's fine. I like being a mushroom. So
Rena, you're too
Okay.
big. I'm sorry.
Rena, too big. She's a
Look, we're just
mushroom.
gonna have to teleport your ass out.
I can mind blank her if this
No,
works.
No.
Yeah. You
I
can
wanna
also
be a
dimension
mushroom.
door, which is why I wanted to get you freed of things.
I want to be a mushroom. Joke's on you guys.
That's true. You told us you wanted to be a mushroom, and now you're living your best life, and I'm not gonna
I'm
stop you.
joy.
You are
I'm Joy.
Joy now. And honestly,
Are
isn't
Joy.
that the point of playing the game? I mean, you won. You are Joy now.
The centaurs just kind of like come into the light and stop, and they're at the far side, like directly ahead of you, off to your right, around the edge of this peninsula of stalagmites. There's like a deep alcove where the cavern kind of widens a lot in that direction, and you watch as this what looks like a pile of mushrooms sort of quivers all at once, and there is a groaning sort of pop 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 sound as like when you tear a root out of the ground.
Right, yeah.
Fun.
As this large creature just like slowly stands, and there's this dull sort of, and it stands. It's vaguely humanoid in its arrangement. It
Yeah.
has what look like 2 leg-ish appendages, two long arm-like features, a generally head-shaped thing with what looks like a big mushroom cap on top, and it just sort of cocks its head sideways, and you each hear in your mind, "We are joy. Are you joy?" And then you hear like smaller pops, like as
Oh.
little mushroom people about this tall just sort of like stagger to their feet all around you. So some of them are about this tall, some of
That's
them are about
really
Alexa's
cute.
size. And yeah, like the smallest ones kind of make this little squeeze sound and start kind of clustering around some of the slightly larger ones that are about Alexa's size and sort of grabbing onto their legs. They're all kind of looking at you, but there are maybe a dozen all around you on all the different walls of the cave.
Yeah,
And-
we're Joy. We're just gonna go be Joy
Yeah, we
out there.
Joy, and I do want to try and do that mind blank on Alexa to see if it undoes, because it makes you immune to the charm condition. So I don't know if it will help her, but
Yeah, if it's a charm. This sounds like more of a hive mind condition.
it might be. It might do nothing. Might be a waste of an
Roll for hive mind.
I would like to cast wish that we weren't idiots and didn't enter this place to begin with.
We knew
Oh,
exactly
we
what
would not
were
have
getting
met
into.
Joy if we.
I am a
You would have been
happy
depressed the
mushroom.
entire campaign.
If this is how Birdie goes, so be it. All right.
Would you rather die a happy mushroom than live a
Would
sorrowful?
you rather die as joy or sorrow?
As you cast this spell on Alexa and kind of move with a panicked motion, the centaur creatures sort of stamp their feet into a readied position, and you see the weapons raise, and this hulking plant figure raises a hand towards them, and for a moment they stop moving, and they just kind of stand frozen. Their mushroom antenna eye things kind of like not moving, as though not taking in any sort of sense. And you watch as this sort of heavy head-like growth turns back towards you and says, "It is unnecessary, but if you wish it." And I would say Galatar and Kala make persuasion checks.
Wait.
Or Kala, you could try an intimidation check.
Oh, I rolled a 19 plus 5. That's a 24, man. I'm talking about.
15. Okay, yeah. So the spell does not end the effect on Alexa. She's not
Okay,
charmed.
that was my
at the
fear.
moment. But as you guys start to drag Alexa away, you watch as the smaller sprout-like creatures kind of shuffle quickly out of your way so as not to be trod on, and the large creature just takes a couple of slow. You hear the swoosh, swoosh, as its slow but large footsteps make it their way, generally not directly towards you, but towards your area of the cavern, between you and the animated centaurs. Eventually, it comes to a stop, kind of standing between you and them, and it just sort of stands there, arms loosely at its side, staring. And yeah, it says nothing. It just sort of watches and waits to see what you're doing.
Well, Galatar will kind of look at Kala, and then we'll start to pull out his blade, because I'm assuming we're going to have to fight. So if she's not looking like she's going to stop me, I'm going to go ahead and try and activate my blade song before.
I'm just trying to carry Birdie back to the hole and see if I can get him through it into the regular part of the cave.
With your
And then if that works, then I'll pick up Alexa and do the same.
with your passive strength, you can pick up Birdie with no problem. It's just difficult terrain, so you just start making.
He's
your
on
way towards
keto,
the
so.
cave.
Kenny.
It
Pretty.
is an easy enough matter, and as you kind of get him to the opening of the cave, Birdie, this gorgeous ebon hawk sunset and those familiar constellations, some of the first stories that you ever learned, it all just sort of fades into darkness, and once again you see yourself staring at naked rock, and there's a damp kind of earthy smell, and you feel Kala's grip around you, sort of like stuffing you into this narrow place. You're just like trying to fit yourself into this hole, and you are yourself again.
This is worse. Turns around and starts slogging.
Maybe
like
Joy
he's,
again.
he's not going in the opposite direction of Joy. He'll kind of slouch out of the back to the first cave we were in.
Alexa and Brina, similarly, these visions and sensations of home, as well as this kaleidoscopic sort of fly's eye vision of being a greater entity, just sort of fractures and fades, and you find yourself once again staring at your own hands in your own body. Taking a deep breath is just full of kind of the smell of rotted vegetation and water and mud.
Karina's not
But there's
going
this
unless they walk her ass out of there. Like she is.
big, tall, mushroom planty guy just kind of standing about 30 feet in front of you. Just sort of standing there, head cocked at you.
So they came back to their senses still in the mushroom cave.
Brina and Alexa did, yeah. Although
Okay.
if you're dragging Alexa, she'll be about halfway back.
I-
towards the cave.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to drag Alexa. I was waiting to see how
Yes,
this thing
and they're-
reacted.
You're all kind of standing together.
So they let go, like they relent. They let us go of the hive mind. Okay. Cool.
Birdie pulls out a little sage bundle from his pack. All right, who needs an upper? He starts kind of chewing on one of the sage leaves. Anybody else? That was
At this point,
anything? No.
Brina, Alexa 1 and 2, and Galatar are here in their minds. If you will not become joy, leave this place. Otherwise the weepers will contain your sorrow.
What? I think maybe we just leave this entity be. It doesn't seem necessarily evil. It's released you all.
I'm good with leaving. I'm good with leaving. And Brina's like walking backwards.
Yeah, no reason destroying something that was kind enough to let you all walk out of here under your own power.
Bye, Joy.
Goodbye, Joy.
Let's see if Kate can put like a giant egg. We gotta do something so people will not go near this cave when they pass through.
Sure. Yeah. I'll take my I'll take my marvelous pigments and just on the side of the well, I'll tell you what I'll do. Once everybody's out, I'll kind of sprouting from this paintbrush, there'll be like just like two kind of iron rods that form an X
Police
in front
tape.
of
Do
yeah,
not
police
cross.
tape and like painted on the wall and like some good paint would be like no joy beyond this point. Yeah.
Oh, spooky.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is it okay? Is this a good stopping point? I mean, I know it's only like 9 o'clock there, but I need to go to bed. I also still need to drive home. I'm still sitting at work.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we can stop here. It'll be dawn of the third day as you guys make your way further into the Silverwastes.
I was
Oh my
really
God.
waiting for you guys to get fucked up. And then I had to pee really bad, so.
No, we peacefully resolved the situation in a way that was good for everybody.
Diplomacy.
We took the real Star Trek route here, and I'm proud of us.
Yeah, I'm sure none of you didn't crush any of those little mushroom boys, the little tiny ones.
No, they would have.
I don't think so.
We didn't, drop kick one, did you, Brina?
No. I was Joy. Brina wanted to leave peacefully.
Not, we can not kill things sometimes.
We're
I think, like,
Occasionally.
As Brina leaves, though, like she does wipe away like a couple tears. For real, and not as a goof. Like I think she hasn't felt that at home in a long
Aw.
time. And so even though it was via bioluminescent hive mind. She just shuffles on out of there.
Okay.
Scary.
Yeah, we'll call it there tonight, and we will continue next time with the final day of skill challenge in the Silverwastes.
November
Sounds good.
2nd?
November, yeah, 2nd. That's next Wednesday. Right?
That works. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
good.
Works for me.
Yeah, that's next Wednesday. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can do that.
Oh, wait. I think I'm having a happy hour. I'm not having a happy hour. My cohort, my classmates were all like, who wants to go drink? I think we're going Wednesday after the class that we all hate.
Does that mean you can't make 6:30?
Probably not.
Like a late night thing?
Your day that
I mean, we're going drinking at like, whenever our class is over, it's like 3:30. But
Oh, it should be. we
hanging
don't
out
start
there,
till
but
5.
also getting home. I feel like normally I'm rushed to get home between 3:30 and 5:30 anyways.
you can also just pop in later if you want to.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah, you can just come in later.
All right. Sounds good.
If you'll be sober enough, or not. Fuck it. We play drunk D&D.
Yeah, I'll open a bottle of
Whoa.
wine
Hell
with
yeah,
you.
let's do that.
Well, let's get crazy.
No,
Yeah,
we're
I'll get
only
fucked up.
sober here.
Let's do
As
it.
in,
Wednesday night. Let's
Drunk
crack
D&D?
open a cold one. Grip it and rip it. You
Rip
know.
it and rip it, drunk D&D. D&D. Sorry. Anyways.
Is that all
Tonight
right?
would've been a good
DD
night
for
for-
drunk D&D.
All right.
Okay.
I
So
will see you cats Wednesday the 2nd.
6:30, or are we doing?
Yeah, 6:30.
Okay. Groovy.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Have a good
All
evening.
right. Later, guys.
Evening.